The morning arrives with a profound sense of weightlessness, a gentle pressing of light against the glass that speaks of nothing but the present moment. In this small corner of the home, the air holds a stillness that feels almost physical, a quietude that has gathered overnight like dew on a petal. There is a specific quality to the way the sun touches the surface of the old table, revealing every small indentation and grain without judgment or hurry. It is a space where time seems to fold in on itself, leaving only the soft glow of the early hour and the promise of a slow, deliberate movement. The silence here is not empty. It is a full, resonant thing, a container for the thoughts that haven't yet found their way into words. Outside, the world may be waking, but within these walls, there is only the rhythmic pulse of light and the steady, grounded presence of the wood. Every shadow tells a story of patience, of waiting for the right moment to shift, to lengthen, to eventually fade back into the cool dimness of the house. Here, the day begins not with a start, but with a gradual unfolding, an invitation to simply exist alongside the drifting particles of light and the quiet warmth that settles on every surface. Following the narrow path along the side of the house feels like entering a secret dialogue between the earth and the architecture. The bricks, worn smooth by years of quiet footsteps, hold the cool dampness of the earth beneath them, a reminder of the life that persists in the shadows. There is a rhythm to the way the moss claims the spaces in between, a soft, velvet rebellion that softens the hard lines of the dwelling. Overhead, the canopy of the garden filters the light into a mosaic of shifting shapes, a kaleidoscope of pale greens and deep ambers that dance across the ground with the slightest breath of wind. It is a transition space, a corridor of peace that connects the public world with the private sanctuary of the back courtyard. Every step is met with the scent of damp soil and the subtle, sweet fragrance of things growing in the shade. The walls of the house stand as silent sentinels, their textures enriched by the play of light and the proximity of the foliage. In this narrow strip of land, the scale is perfectly attuned to the individual, creating a sense of being held, of being shielded from the vastness of the horizon. It is a place of transit that demands a slower pace, a pausing to notice the way a single drop of water hangs suspended from a leaf, refracting the entire garden in its crystal sphere. roses lean into the light with a quiet dignity, their heavy heads nodding in a breeze so faint it barely registers. Each petal is a study in fragility, a translucent layer of color that seems to vibrate with the intensity of the sun's touch. They do not compete for attention. They simply occupy their space with a grace that is both effortless and profound. Against the dark, structured backdrop of the trellis, their brightness is accentuated, creating a visual harmony that feels both intentional and wild. The light at this hour is clear and direct, casting soft, rounded shadows that define the volume of each bloom. There is a stillness in the way they hang, a suspension of activity that invites the observer to linger on the details of their form. The air around them is thick with a subtle, intoxicating perfume, a scent that speaks of summer and the slow, steady progression of the seasons. It is a domestic beauty, the kind that thrives under the watchful eye of a home, tucked away from the rush of the street. In the silence of the courtyard, the opening of a bud feels like a momentous event, a slow-motion explosion of color and life that unfolds over hours and days. The stillness is the canvas upon which these small miracles are painted, a background of peace that allows the delicate textures of the garden to speak in a language of light and shadow. In the center of the garden, the stone basin sits as a quiet focal point, its surface a mirror for the sky above. The water is still, reflecting the passage of a solitary cloud or the distant, hazy blue of the midday atmosphere. Surrounding it, the foliage grows in a dense, protective circle, creating a sense of an island within the yard. The light here is bright and even, illuminating the various shades of green that define the space from the deep, waxy emerald of the lower leaves to the pale, lime-tinted tips of the new growth. There is a profound sense of enclosure here, a feeling that the garden is a world unto itself, bounded by the familiar lines of a wooden fence and the solid presence of the home. The stone of the birdbath is weathered and textured, its gray surface mottled with patches of lichen that have grown over seasons of sun and rain. It feels like a permanent fixture of the landscape, an anchor that grounds the shifting, changing life of the plants around it. The air is warm and still, filled with the hum of hidden life and the occasional rustle of a leaf. It is a moment of equilibrium, where the energy of the growing garden is balanced by the solid, unmoving presence of the stone. In this small patch of earth, the business of the world feels distant and irrelevant, replaced by the simple, enduring reality of light, water, and leaf. The metal of the shears is cool to the touch, resting on the sun-warmed stone like a discarded thought. They carry the patina of use, a history written in the small scratches and the dulling of the steel. In the late afternoon light, their form is etched sharply against the soft blur of the garden behind them, a testament to the intersection of the human and the natural. There is a stillness in their placement, a suggestion of a task paused, or perhaps a moment of rest taken in the heat of the day. The stone bench, thick and solid, provides a stable foundation, its surface rough with the passage of time and the accumulation of dust. Shadows begin to stretch across the ground, long and thin, marking the slow descent of the sun toward the horizon. The air has a golden quality now, a richness that deepens the colors of the leaves and highlights the intricate textures of the stone. It is a time of day when the garden seems to exhale, the tension of the midday heat giving way to a more relaxed, contemplative mood. The presence of the tool is a reminder of the care that goes into this small space, the quiet, ongoing dialogue between the inhabitant and the land. It is not about the work itself, but the rhythm of the work, the way it weaves itself into the fabric of the day and becomes part of the garden's own slow, steady pulse. The glass vase catches the low light of the afternoon, turning the water within into a shimmering, liquid gold. The stems, cut from the surrounding beds, stand straight and proud, their green lengths refracted through the thick walls of the vessel. There is a clarity to this scene that feels almost transcendental, a moment where the mundane is elevated by the simple presence of light. The table beneath is a tapestry of shadows and highlights, its wood grain glowing with a warmth that seems to emanate from within. In the background, the garden begins to soften into a wash of muted tones, the individual leaves losing their definition as the light fades. The air is cooling, carrying the scent of evening primrose and damp earth. This is the hour of transition, when the garden shifts from a place of activity to a place of reflection. The vase of flowers is a centerpiece for this change, a collection of the garden's beauty brought into a tighter, more intimate focus. Every bubble of air clinging to a submerged leaf, every glint of light on the rim of the glass, is a detail to be savored in the quiet. The stillness is absolute, broken only by the long, slow shadows that creep across the patio, reclaiming the space for the night. It is a domestic altar to the season, a small, luminous tribute to the abundance that can be found in a few square feet of earth. The leaf is a universe of detail, its surface mapped with a complex network of veins that channel the lifeblood of the plant. In the soft, diffused light of the shaded garden, every ridge and valley is visible, a testament to the intricate engineering of nature. A few stray droplets of water rest on its surface, perfect spheres that tremble with the slightest movement of the air. They are like small jewels, clear and bright, holding within them a distorted miniature of the world above. The color of the leaf is a deep, resonant green, the kind of green that feels cool and life-giving. There is a profound silence in this close-up view, a sense of being pulled into a scale where the heartbeat of the garden can almost be heard. The background is a soft, indistinct blur of color, ensuring that all focus remains on the singular beauty of this one form. It is a reminder that the garden is composed of a million such moments, each one as significant as the whole. The stillness here is not just an absence of noise, but a presence of attention, a focus on the minute and the overlooked. The air is still and humid, holding the moisture close to the ground, a cocoon of quiet that protects this small, fragile world. In the observation of a single leaf, the vastness of the garden is distilled into something manageable, something that can be understood through the simple act of looking. From the threshold of the home, the garden appears as a painting framed by the window, a composition of deepening blues and shadowy greens. The curtains, light and ethereal, stir slightly in the evening breeze, their fabric catching the last of the interior warmth. Outside, the light is failing, the sky turning a rich, velvety indigo that makes the foliage seem darker and more substantial. The courtyard is a pool of shadow, where the shapes of the plants merge and flow into one another. There is a sense of safety in this view, a feeling of being both connected to and sheltered from the outdoor world. The window acts as a boundary, a thin layer of glass that separates the domestic comfort of the house from the wilder, more mysterious life of the garden at night. The air coming through the screen is cool and carries the sharp, clean scent of the evening. It is a time for quiet contemplation, for watching the way the stars begin to punctuate the darkness above the roofline. The stillness of the interior matches the stillness of the garden, creating a unified space of peace that spans the threshold. The home and the garden are no longer two separate entities, but a single, continuous environment of rest. In the gathering dark, the garden becomes a place of imagination, a landscape of whispers and subtle movements that can only be felt in the deepest silence. The terracotta pot sits heavily on the stone, its earthy orange color muted by the fading light of twilight. It has the look of something that has been there for a long time, its surface stained by water and salt, a map of the seasons it has endured. Inside, a small plant rests, its leaves curled slightly in the cool evening air. The stone ledge is cold now, having given up the last of its daytime heat to the sky. Around the pot, the garden has become a wall of dark shapes, the individual plants indistinguishable in the gloom. There is a singular focus to this scene, a spotlight on the humble and the everyday. The light is soft and directional, coming from a low angle that emphasizes the roundness of the pot and the texture of its clay. It is a moment of profound stillness, the kind of silence that feels heavy and expectant. The world has narrowed down to this one object, this one small intersection of human craft and natural growth. The air is still, the wind having died down with the sun, leaving the garden in a state of perfect repose. It is a time to simply be, to let the eyes rest on the familiar forms of the domestic landscape and find comfort in their permanence. The pot, the stone, the dark leafisthi are the quiet anchors of the home, the steady presence that remains when everything else has faded into the night. Under the light of the moon, the garden is transformed into a landscape of silver and shadow. The narrow path, which seemed so solid and earthy during the day, now glows with an ethereal light, leading the eye into the depths of the small enclosure. The leaves of the trees and shrubs catch the moonlight on their edges, creating a shimmering, skeletal structure that defines the space. The shadows are deep and absolute, pools of mystery that hide the familiar details of the yard. There is a sense of magic in this transformation, a feeling that the garden has become a place of different rules and different rhythms. The air is cold and crisp, and the silence is so deep it feels as though it could be broken by the falling of a leaf. The home stands nearby, a dark silhouette against the starry sky, its presence a grounding force in the silvery night. This is the garden at its most intimate, a space of pure atmosphere where the boundaries between the physical and the spectral seem to thin. Every movement of the air is felt as a subtle shift in the light, a ripple across the surface of the dark foliage. The stillness is complete, a total immersion in the quiet of the night. It is a time for the garden to dream, for the earth to rest, and for the spirit to find a sense of peace in the vast, silent beauty of the domestic night.